comfortable? Are those that are on the chairs happier on the chairs? Are you on the rugs happier on the rugs? All right, good. Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder and chair of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Ganati Maranda Syam Ganangana Sahakya Chaksuru Meditam Yana Tajmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vistam Stapitam Yana Bhutare Sayam Rupa Karamyam Dadati Swa Parantikam. I'd like to talk to you today about the joy of what we call devotional service. Or if you put an L in front of it, loving devotional service, the joy of LDS, something you can all resonate with. Am I wrong? The Sanskrit word for joy, the word for happiness is sukh. The word for joy is ananda. And that ananda, or joy, is the sign of God, whom we call Krishna's presence in your life. Ananda, or joy, is not supposed to be hidden away. It's supposed to be visible, seen. Ananda means to brighten up, put a smile on your face, be cheerful. And when you have a cheerful countenance, you're giving God praise. Would you agree with me that too many people drag around with a long, sour face? They haven't smiled in 6 months, and yet they claim to be joyful in the Lord. If you've got joy, you need to notify your face. We all get back what we put out. You know that rap song by MC Yogi? You know that song? What you give is what you get. If you want love, you got to give love away. What you give is what you get. If you want love, you got to give love away. I'm getting so inspired now. Love is the best medicine. I shine like Edison whenever I let it in. Love is the power that opens every flower, transforms this coward into a champion. When you're lost, love is sent to remind you, offering signs and providing guidance. Love is infinite, unlimited, and timeless. Look inside your heart as well, you'll find it. Always remember and never forget, what you give is what you get. You want love, you got to give love. Give love away. So if you're sour, grumpy, unfriendly, insensitive to others, then don't be surprised if people treat you the same way that you treat others. Don't be surprised if you get back what it is that you've been putting out. Why is that? Misery loves company. You'll draw in negativity, you'll draw in defeat, you'll draw in gloom, doom, and discouragement. However, when you go out with a smile on your face and you radiate joy, kindliness, friendliness, that's going to come back to you. You planted seeds which are going to reap a harvest of joy, peace, abundance, prosperity, favor, and blessings. I want to tell you that a joyless follower of God, a joyless religious person, is a slander against the Lord. A preacher once wisely and rightly said, if you have no joy in your religion, that means there's a leak in your devotional practices. Someone who went to Buckingham Palace recently told me this story. They said while they were there were 2 policemen who were standing outside the gate. She asked them if the Queen was in the palace. They said no, and the way you can tell is simply by looking at the flagpole on the top of the palace. When the Queen is on the throne, the flag of England will be flying up above. And when I heard this story, I thought to myself, yes, and the flag of joy will always fly above the palace of my heart when King Krishna is on the throne. In the Bhagavad Gita, Song of God, 9th chapter, 2nd verse, Raja Vijaya Raja Guyam Povitam Paramam Pachaksaga Susukam Kartamavyam. Krishna, or God consciousness, is the king of all education, the most secret of all secrets, the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It's the perfection of religion. It is everlasting. And last but not least, it is joyfully performed. When Prabhupada, our guru, gave a talk once at Northwestern University, he said, we're all seeking after joy. Why? Because we're all originally spirit souls, joyful by nature, and therefore our business is to regain that platform of joyfulness. But some or other, we've been put in this material platform. We're not fulfilling our hankering for joy. He gave the example that you belong to the land. However, if you're put into the Pacific Ocean, however expert a swimmer you are, you can't be happy. You have to come back to the land. Then you can be happy. Similarly, we're all spirit souls. We're not creatures. We're not byproducts of matter. Just like the sunshine. Sunshine means molecular parts of shining particles. Similarly, we are molecular parts and parcels of God, who is Ananda Maya Vyasat, the reservoir of all pleasure. He's full of joy. Look at Krishna on the altar there, standing in a threefold bending form with a twinkle in his eye, playing his flute. You'll never see any picture or statue or puppet of Krishna where he's frowning. Now, because we're sparks, we're created in the image of God, we're also originally created full of joy. Now, unless we, as parts of the whole, reconnect with the Supreme in service, our joyfulness will always be elusive. Full joyfulness, Prabhupada says, comes when we're on the platform of unmotivated, uninterrupted service to the Lord. And one of the most joyful Christians, according to all accounts, that has ever lived, does anybody know? He was the founder of the Salvation Army, William Booth. Someone once said to him, "Dr. Booth, would you please tell us what is the secret of your great joy?" He said, "It is very simple. I never say no to the Lord." That service to the Lord begins with the tongue. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Griyanam Indriya. What do we do all day, every day? We talk, isn't it? The tongue vibrates. So if you want to start your service, start awakening the joy that's there in your life, you have to take that everyday common propensity. Says that men say 25,000 words a day, and women say 35,000 words a day. That means those husbands, after you've had your last say of the day, your wife still has 10,000 more words to go. You have to take that propensity for talking and serve the Lord with it. And that's what William Booth did, isn't it? Salvation Army, they went out into the streets. Kind of a curious kinship with the Hare Krishnas, isn't it? And they went out and they used their tongues and they took musical instruments and they were joyful in the Lord. They shouted and sang his holy names and spread the good life around. Prabhupada said there are no stringent rules and regulations for singing or chanting Hare Krishnas. You don't have to sit so straight for so long, nor do you have to do gymnastics, nor control your breathing. The practice is very easily and happily done. We're going to do some more. Invite you to stand up in about 15 minutes. And if you feel like dancing and singing along with us, you can certainly do that. And when we're done honoring the Lord with our tongues, we're going to go downstairs and eat sacred vegetarian prasadam, which has been offered to the Lord. So what could be more simple and what could be more blissful or potentially joyful than that? Anybody not like singing? Anybody not like dancing? Anybody not like feasting? Anybody not like discussing who you are, what the purpose of life is, who created us, and where we can go to be joyful after this life? Nobody raised their hand, so I assume that we're all on the same page, have the same priorities, which is Anando Maya Vyasat. We are spirit souls, by nature joyful. We are hankering after joy. And we see this even in the material context. Wherever there's dance, discotheque, wherever there's cinema, wherever there's restaurant, nice song, nice picture, beautiful woman or beautiful man, everybody is searching after joy. Therefore, joy must exist originally and infinitely in the absolute truth, the source from which everything comes. But we have become separated from the Lord. Just like sparks, when they're distanced from the fire, they lose their original fiery quality. It is because of our distance from the Lord, our disinclination to serve him and honor him, beginning with our tongues, that we're not tasting the joy after which we're hankering. God himself, however, is not conditioned. God's joy is unlimited. He is everlastingly enjoyed in the spiritual world, dancing with the liberated souls. But why our process of enjoyment is checked? We want unlimited, unchecked joy. We don't wish, for instance, to die, and yet death is thrust upon us. The human form of life is specifically awarded us in order that these questions should be answered. Why am I subject to death? Why am I subject to birth, disease, old age? This type of inquiry is called Brahma Jigyasa. When the sun rises and all the animals get up in the morning, there are millions and millions of questions and answers going on. Where is food? How to sleep? Sex? Defense? Who is coming to kill me? But only in the human form of life is it possible to inquire as to the nature of the self and the absolute truth. Only Brahma Jigyasa is possible in the human form of life. So that is called real inquiry, the inquiry that is unique to the human form. It is an opportunity here in the human form of life. I can understand one very important thing, which the animals, reptiles, fish, and birds cannot understand, and that is that I am spirit. I am Brahman. I am the same quality as God. And if I am the same quality as God, if I'm cut from the same joyful stuff as him, why in the world am I suffering? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning of the human form of life. Understand, I am as good as God, although I'm small. Then we can use this life to prepare ourselves to join with Krishna eventually and to dance face to face with the Supreme Personality of God. But first you have to qualify yourself. Prabhupada says you can't dance with dog and dance with God at the same time. If you want to dance with the dog, remain here. You go on, life after life, perpetually dancing with the dog. But if you want to dance with God, you can prepare yourself right here and now and dance with him. The choice is ours because tat tvam asi. We are of the same spiritual nature as God. If you're not happy with the level of joy that you're feeling in your life, if you're not happy with what life has given you back, you need to check up on what it is that you're sending out. We shape ourselves the joys and fears of which the coming life is made and fill our future's atmosphere with sunshine or with shade. The tissue of the life to be, we weave in colors all our own, and in the field of destiny, we reap where we have sown. Can I tell you something? No happy person, no person who is going somewhere, no person who knows that every day is a gift from God wants to be around an old, sour-faced, complaining stick in the mud. They're not going to let themselves be dragged down by someone always in the pits, always has a sad story. They may pull them out of the pit a few times, but when they see that person is not taking responsibility for their own joy, they're going to quite properly find others to spend their time with. And yes, there will be difficulties in life. No one promised us a bed of roses, but we have to learn to brighten up even when we don't feel like it. Sometimes we have to learn to smile by faith. Everything says I should be depressed. Everything says I should be discouraged. I should be worried, but I'm not moved by what I see. I'm moved by what I know. And what I know is that this is a day the Lord has made. And I'm going to choose to live it happy. And when we smile, it sends a message to our body that everything is all right. Here's the key. You cannot wait to see how you feel. You have to smile first, then the joy will come. Chemicals are released. It is hard to smile and think negative thoughts at the same time. It's hard to be friendly, cheerful, and maintain your bad mood. Smiling tricks the body into feeling well. It's said that when life gives you 100 reasons to cry, show Krishna, yet you have 1,000 reasons to smile. Sometimes it is said your joy is the source of your smile, but more often your smile can be the source of your joy. And when we're caught in a belief that happiness should only come in a particular form on our timetable, what happens is we fail to see all the opportunities for joy that abound right in front of us. A sad, depressed face is telling our body that something's wrong. With a depressed face, we're going to be tired and run down, not feel as well. Our encouragement is don't wait for the feelings to come and then cheer up. Just the opposite. Don't wait until you feel happy and then decide to cheer up. Cheer up by faith. Fake it until you make it. If you will, faith it until you make it. And we can all find some reason to feel unhappy. The pandemic, the boss is getting on my nerves, my team didn't make the playoffs, there weren't even any playoffs this year. Oh, I just have to hold on until God comes. And when someone asks you how you're doing, for heaven's sake, don't tell them how you feel. I'm tired, worried, run down, swamped, busy, under the weather. No, your response should be, I'm too blessed to be stressed. My future is so bright, I need sunglasses. That's faithing it. I don't know if you know this. I didn't until I was researching this talk. The word happiness comes from an old English word, hap, which literally means chance. Corresponds to the Latin word fortuna, which means luck. You see, if things happen the way we want them to happen, then we're happy. But if they don't happen the way we want them, then we're unhappy. What does that tell us? Happiness is temporary and fickle, whereas joy is permanent and settled. There is a delight, a gladness of heart, a rapture in the soul that goes above and beyond happiness, and its name is joy. There's a tremendous difference between joy and happiness, as you can see from our chart. Happiness is external. Joy is internal. Happiness depends on outward circumstances. Joy depends on inward character. Happiness depends on what happens to you. Joy depends upon who lives within your body. Happiness comes by chance. Joy is based on choice. Unfortunately, we know that the world has caricatured God-centered people as being primarily purveyors of doom and gloom, prophets of sadness and sorrow who condemn any sort of joy as being sin. In fact, someone once gave this definition of a Puritan: a person who suffers from the overwhelming dread that somewhere, sometime, somehow, someone may be enjoying themselves. But I'm here today to tell you that God-centered living, Krishna-conscious living, is nothing less than a festival of joy. C.S. Lewis said, joy is the serious business of heaven. We should be in joy. We should enjoy joy all the days of our life. We should so rejoice that we can rejoice over our rejoicing. If you get around Krishna at all, or the chanting of Krishna's names, or Krishna's devotees, or Krishna's sumptuous prasadam, you're going to be so full of joy, because to be in the presence of the Lord is to be in the presence of joy. The psalmist said, but let all those also who love your name be joyful in you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you're around sour, grumpy people and you're joyful, guess what? their attitude doesn't rub off on you. It's the other way around. You brighten their day. You lift them up. You can't control other people's faces, but you can control yours. It takes 62 muscles to frown and only 26 muscles to smile. And Krishna is someone to smile about. Krishna is the reservoir of pleasure. Krishna is the presence of the fullness of his joy, and he's fully present as well through his transcendental names. If you don't have joy in your life, can I tell you that you've disconnected yourself from Krishna or God's presence, cut off from the supply line, cut off from increase, promotion, health, favor, healing. Do you know that there are people walking around who are like detached branches who are dying? They just don't realize it yet. They look alive, they make sounds, they flap around, but in reality, they're dead because they're no longer attached to the vine, which is our Creator and our Heavenly Father. He said, I am the vine, you are the branches. Who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. Would you agree that a healthy tree is a fruit-bearing tree? That the only happy tree is a healthy tree? A healthy tree is a tree that does what it ought to do, which is to bear fruit. And the same thing is true of a God-centered devotee. If you're healthy, you will bear fruit, the fruit of God-centered works. A psychologist at Stanford University tried to show that real joy only comes when we're productive in our lives, or bearing fruit, so to speak. He hired a logger, said, I'll pay you double what you get paid in the logging camp if you'll simply take the blunt end of this axe and just pound this log all day. You never have to cut a single piece of wood. Just take the blunt end and hit it as hard as you can, just as if you were logging. You'll get double the money that you've been making. The man quit after half a day. The psychologist asked him, why did you quit? And the logger said, because every time I swing the axe, I have to see the chips fly. If I don't see the chips fly, it's no fun. I think there are many so-called religious people who are taking the dull end of their axe, simply banging away on logs, doing no heavenly good, not taking any ground for the kingdom. They're producing no fruit, and because of that, they have no joy. And yes, one of the major reasons why many devotees have no joy in their life is because they're not working fruitfully for the Lord. Let me tell you the same story in a different way as described in Stephen Covey's book, The Habits of Successful People. John and Paul have the same job, which is to chop down 6 trees a day. They are compensated the same, regardless of how long it takes them. Now, John wakes up early to sharpen his axe. While doing so, he enjoys a nice cup of fresh squeezed juice, and he listens to the birds chirp. He even has time to enjoy breakfast and read a few pages before heading up. He shows up at work refreshed, rested, and prepared. He chops his trees down with ease and enjoyment and is done early afternoon with enough time to do some fly fishing on his way home. Spends his evening with his family, relaxing and having fun, all in preparation for a good night's sleep and another great morning of sharpening the axe. That's John. Now, Paul hits his snooze button at the last possible moment, rushes around with no time to spare to sharpen his axe or even to take a shower. Shows up at work ordinary with a dull axe, spends the next 8 hours strenuously chopping with hardly any breaks, no enjoyment, comes home tired, in a bad mood, spends most of the night complaining about his job and how he hates it. If only he had a sharper axe. Goes to bed stressed, already thinking about how painful the next day will be. Both have the same 24 hours, just like everyone else, and yet they make completely different choices on how to prioritize and spend their time. And as a result, they have vastly different outcomes. Now, which one would you rather be? Which one would you rather hang around? Which one would you rather employ? People who sharpen their God-given skills, work productively in the service of the Lord, honor the Lord in their lives by chanting His holy names, are going to be promoted more often. They're going to have higher paying jobs. They're going to enjoy more intimate relationships with their wives and children. Why is that? Other people like people who are happy, smiling, friendly, good-natured, of good character, purposeful, and fulfilled. Now, the joy of serving Krishna or God is so great that even Lord Krishna himself descends as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his own devotional incarnation to taste the ananda, the joy of serving God. In our Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, 6th chapter, 43rd through 50th verse, I'll just share these verses with you. The transcendental devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so ecstatic that even the Lord himself plays the part of a devotee as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Forgetting himself to be supreme, he personally descends as an avatar to teach the whole world how to render service to the Supreme Lord. The conception of servitude to Sri Krishna generates such an ocean of joy in the soul that even the joy of merging, of oneness with the Absolute, if multiplied 10 million times, could not compare to a single drop of the ocean of the nectar of devotion. The most beloved goddess of fortune rests on the chest of Sri Krishna, earnestly praying, begging for the joy of ongoing service at his lotus feet. Associates of the Lord, such as Brahma, the creator of the universe, Shiva, Narada Muni, Sukha, and Sanatan Goswami, are all pleased in the sentiment of servitude. Nityananda, whose appearance day we'll celebrate this coming Wednesday, is the foremost of all the servants of Lord Chaitanya. He became mad in the ecstasy of service to Lord Sri Krishna. The quality of your service to the Lord is no better measured than by the wattage of your smile. Can I say that one more time? The quality and productivity of your service to the Lord is no better measured than by the wattage of your smile. Research shows that the single most powerful tool of influence that we all have is our smile. If you're not smiling, you're like a person with $1 million in the bank and no checkbook to spend it. A smile causes people to like you, to promote you, to love you, to be good to you. I wonder how much more of Krishna's favor we'd experience if we just smiled more often. I heard that Holiday Inn, when they were back in business, interviewed 5,000 people for 400 new jobs. They disqualified anyone that didn't smile 4 times during the course of the interview. That proves that people who smile get better breaks than people who are solemn and serious. If you give a sincere, heartfelt smile of encouragement to someone, it can make them as happy as if they just received $5,000. Now, that can come in very handy if you're a small business owner. At the end of the year, you just go and smile. There's your Christmas bonus. There's your Christmas bonus. Good job. Thank you for all you do to our company. The power of a smile can communicate volumes without your having even said a single word. Many people are not listening to what we say, but they're watching our bodily movements, our gestures, and how we live. We are supposed to be living epistles read by all men. They may not read the Bible, the Kirtan, the Bhagavad Gita, but they are reading your lives. Therefore, consider what message that you're sending out. Are you friendly, good-natured? Do people want what you have? Or are you stressed, grumpy, critical, judgmental, sour, pushing people away? Can I tell you, you're doing more harm than good? If you're that person, don't put a honk if you love Krishna bumper sticker on your car, please. You're just going to make it harder for the rest of us. In a negative world, be guilty of happiness. Be guilty of enthusiasm. Be guilty of enjoying your life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Turn the switch on for being friendly. Get in the habit of smiling on purpose. When things get difficult, learn to smile by faith. Don't wait for the feelings to come. Smile and the feelings will follow. Finishing up here with a quote from The Perfection of Yoga by Srila Prabhupada. He says, there are always devotional activities in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, engagements both day and night, which the student performs joyfully. That is the stage of real happiness. Constant engagement for Krishna and spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. In the material world, one may become very tired if he works all the time. But if one works in Krishna consciousness, he can chant Hare Krishna and engage in devotional service 24 hours a day and never get tired. If your level of joy has gotten low, make the decision with me today to brighten up. Put on a cheerful countenance, sharpen your skills, produce fruitfully for the Lord, and honor him by chanting his holy names. If you do this, you'll feel the joy kick in. You'll step up to a new level of Krishna's favor. You'll not only be healthier, you'll get better breaks. You'll see an increase in promotion, in abundance, in favor. You'll become everything Krishna intended you to be in this life, and in the next life, you go back to home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, assuming that you're all looking for joy, we're going to do those activities where people most often look for joy. Singing, dancing, and feasting. Is that all right? All right. So go ahead and stand up. Use the distance to social distance, but you can spread out all over the auditorium. We're going to be facing the altar, and we're going to have a little bit of chanting, then invite you to come downstairs, and you're welcome to ask questions downstairs or at any time after the chanting concludes here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.